I'll talk about SRE a little bit, like just to give a context of what exactly is the expectation from an SRE and how exactly a technical program management domain is supposed to enhance that. So SRE as a domain started or conceptualized in 2003. Why it got conceptualized? It was because of tough operations. Tough operations gave birth to the SRE domains. So in 2003 at Google, they realized that due to multiple reasons, the operations is not the job which actually people want to do. And I don't know how many of you know this dog. This is the dog on fire. And this is a very famous dog because he keep on, getting the fire out in the closed domains. But eventually the entire thing is on burning it, and entire thing is on fire, but they still think it is fine. So that was the situation in 2003. Most of the companies were working with the classical stratified models of system networks, application DBAs. The processes were very heavyweight with very minimal optimization around it. There were companies which were coming with massive infrastructure to handle, and web scale reliability needs, like that time it was in 2000s, it was like 90% uptime used to be a good parameter. Today it is more than 99%. So it itself says that how exactly the web scale reliability needs have grown. On-call used to be horrible. People used being on-call literally had their lives upside down. There's no work-life balance because smallest of the issue was taking longest of the times to get sorted out. So keeping the site up was like a hell of a task. And DevOps was not something which was conceptualized by that time. There was no such thought of that there's a DevOps team which can handle the development and operations together. And that's when in Google, they came up with the term of SRE. So what exactly SRE is supposed to do? Are they operations people? Yes. Are they supposed to do development? Yes. Are they DevOps? Actually, yes. So how are they different from these? They are basically the people who do development, they handle operations, they make sure there's efficient operations. But what they do differently is they come with an end customer view. They have a view where they think about how end customer life has to be not miserable when they use their websites. How exactly make sure that you have the right automations in place. How exactly you make sure that your site is giving them the right results in right time, and especially in today's competitive market where people have multiple options to do a single task. So what is most rewarding for us SRE? Keeping the site up. But in that culture, there's a subsequent culture which keeps on growing, that is rewarding the hero culture. What is a hero culture? We always have like a crucial situation, and then that crucial situation, one or two people come in, fix the things immediately, and they becomes the hero who comes to the savior of the teams. That should not be the ideal situation. That actually is opposite of ideal and should be looked into, retrospected into, that what exactly is not working. Fine that you need heroes. You ideally need a village to keep your website up, and that village has to come together. So whenever you see that there's a hero culture and there are noisy teams which are coming up with one or two people having the crucial fixes every time, and these crucial fixes keeps on repeating in their pattern, you need to look into what is going wrong with that team. And these last minute fixes are not scalable. It is not a good data point to look into that say that this is the way we are going to work in long term. So always reward the teams which are working efficiently, silently, with less noise and not otherwise. And that's how what should be the SRE team's motto to approach towards: less noise, more efficiency, and more effectiveness in their work. So with that, I will come to what are the core principles of an SRE. So when we talk about core principles, first, definitely site up, keep the site up. The second is to empower developer ownership. When I say developer ownership, as I said, it takes a village. It cannot happen that developer develops something and now fixing it is an SRE job or an operations job. It has to be a combined effort. At the same time, when you look at operations, think of it as an engineering problem. Think of it as a software development problem. Don't think of it as a BAU problem, or don't think of it as an afterthought kind of things. It should be a part of the process. And that's what actually at LinkedIn and Microsoft, it is very thoughtfully thought about it, that these are the three core principles which any team should run when they're thinking about SREs. And what exactly should be a company's engineering hierarchy of needs? Kevin Scott, the CTO of Microsoft, has very nicely put this up, that when exactly magic happens in your website or at your particular product, when you have a solid foundation. And according to him, the solid foundation comes when you have a secure and your site is up. If these two things are messed up, you cannot have that magic. So you can have your technology, development at scale, APIs, blocks, everything comes after, once you have like sorted out what is the secure website you have and how that site stays up. Now, we talked about what exactly is SRE, what their expectation is, what they're supposed to do, what their outcome should be. Now, what makes SRE work? Definitely SREs, the ones who work on it. But more than that, journalists are the ones who actually make the whole thing work for SRE. And that's what we are going to talk about today. So what are journalists? So there's a very famous saying by a Greek poet that a fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one thing, but it's a one big thing and they know it very well. In our discussion today, the SREs are the fox who know many things, but they need multiple journalists, multiple hedgehogs to complete their process, to be able to have a 360-degree view of delivery. And to give an example, the one is TPM, who help them with the risk management, decision management, roadmap plannings, and whatnot. The similar way, there are other journalists, like say your UI UX designers, your requirement gatherers in terms of product managers, BSAs, your data analytics partners, your technical writers, your security people. They all are the catalysts who are very specific to their domain. But if they are not available, SRE cannot do their job on their own. And today we'll talk about very specifically about technical program managers in that domain of SRE. Now, when I talk about technical program managers, most of the people think about planning, and there's a common perception in industry that planning is like a lot of facade, but it never works, right? But have you ever seen any country which goes on a war without a plan? No. Because planning is what helps you reduce the damage. Planning is what helps you reduce your cost, mitigate the risk. So that's why you should never go without planning. So the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. That is where your catalyzers, that is technical program managers, come into the picture. Now, when I talk about the technical program managers, there are multiple perceptions of this role. And the reason being this role was not very specified role in which was taught in colleges. Many people think of it that they are the note takers in the meeting. They are the one who provide the action items. They are the ones who provide the next steps across things. Some people think they are the schedulers of the meetings, that they would be the one who would define that what would be the swags which a team should get. They do these things, but they don't do it because that's their key role. They do it because they have the understanding of what is required to get things done. And they're good in collaborations and they're good in coordinations. But their job role is not that. Their job role is to connect this what, when, and how. What is this what, when, and how? What you need to build. You get the detail from your product teams, your design team, your analytics team, that what exactly is missing. Then your sales team, GTM team, finance team, they come back and say when exactly you should build that and deliver that to the customers. And your engineering, your QA teams, they come back and say that how exactly you should build it, how it should be the perfect experience for the users. A program manager is the person who actually connect the dots between these three and make sure that you deliver the right things at the right time. And that is their key deliverable to the entire program. So think of it like this, that you cannot have a holistic experience until unless you don't connect these three questions together. And if somebody is missing the 360-degree view of these things, that when is the right time to deliver this? So suppose that many of the times it happens that what is crucial for a team is not actually required by the company, or maybe not have the right kind of ROI. So who has to come into the picture to prioritize those things, right? So that is where program managers comes into the picture. So what you should think of as a technical program manager? They are your partners. When I say partners, they think of delivering the same things which you want to deliver. They want to make sure that we all succeed. And in that perception of things, there might be times when they have to show the truth, they have to show the mirror to the people and say that these are the things which are going wrong. The idea is not to point people, the idea is to point problems so that you can solutionize that. And secondly, there are leaders in your organization. So when the multiple teams are working, the holistic view of that, the combined status update of that, of where we are, what are the risks, what are the decisions pending, what mitigation we need, it has to be presented upwards to the execs. These are the people who make sure that the right kind of information is flowing around and the right kind of decisions are coming at time to make sure everybody is unblocked and we are reaching towards our success. So these are the people who are partner and leaders in your organization. Their motto is to execute right and execute what is right. So they can get into like multiple times into thought process that this is the right thing to do. The team wants to do it right because they have the right potential right now, but they need to make sure that the team is delivering what the company or the organization success need. And how exactly we are doing it, it has to be the right way. And they're metric oriented. So many of the times you might have seen your TPMs asking you for your tickets, for your details, for your data points. Suppose you're on call, how many issues you got, what are the time to sell, what are your SLAs, your SLOs. The intention is not to bug you. The intention is not to make your life worse. The idea is that that data points is what help them to analyze and come back and say that, okay, this is the problem. This is the null point where we need to touch at. So they are very much metric oriented rather than being generic about that. I have a very hellish on call. They come back and say, okay, we have a hellish on call because of this service going down, because of this kind of people we are serving on this. In SRE world, I think this is the life of an SRE, that you have unplanned work and you have planned work. And you just have the priority of maybe unplanned work more than planned work because site up is your top priority. So how exactly you make yourself most effective, most productive that time? So in that nature, data points which a TPM can capture, which can help you actually deliver on the right things is like level 1. What exactly is the number and severity of incidents over a month your team is getting? So basically, if there are too many blockers coming in, too many major issues coming in, what exactly is the nature of those incidents? Why they are recurring? Are they recurring or the new ones? What is the availability of your services? Are they actually the base reason why you're not getting the things right? And then growth projections. As you move forward in the time zones, timelines, you have like more and more user bases coming in. Are your services well capped, or do you need more capacity in coming times? How exactly you keep on pushing capacity before you start breaking your site? So these things, there's the level 1 data they capture. The level 2 data is how your on-call data looks. So basically, how are your handoffs? How exactly your teams are talking to each other? How exactly you're ensuring that you don't get recurring issues? And then how much of the work is planned and unplanned? Are you actually working all the time on severe issues, or you're trying to, do the automations right? You're trying to develop the right things at the right time. And then the craftsmanship. So multiple time we think about ourselves as like we have technical issues. Many of the time it is emotional people issues as well. So how do you feel about your partners? Do you think you're collaborating well? What is your relationship? Is the thing which is not working? So we work at 3 levels and we try to capture these data points to make sure that we unblock yourself, your teams, and figure out what are the blind spots in the team. So when I talk about blind spots, there are things which everybody know, that what is the issue, what exactly is going on. But there are at times multiple things which some know and some doesn't know. So like blind area. So I don't know, but my end user might know that this is not working. Or there are some things like my team members know, but they're too shy or maybe too afraid of calling it out and not vocalized. And there's something which nobody knows, and you need a proper brainstorming sessions to get things out. So the intention or the motto of a TPM is to bring unknown to the known. And for that, they do the right kind of activities. You might have some health monitor activities so that your team members vocalize the issues which they have. There are some surveys from the end customers which they bring from the blind area. So the idea is to have as many things as we can know to solutionize on. The next is that feedback loop. So many of the time you might have gone into retrospectives and you found that, okay, we gave some input, but never saw them implemented. The idea is to have a fast feedback loop, that you get an intention, you get the understanding what is not working. have a right kind of action items toward it, make it actionable as soon as possible, and keep it iterative. And that's where your TPMs help to understand what can actually be the actionable out of it, how we can action it immediately, what are the long-term actions we need to do, and how to keep a track of it. So what is the 5-step to make sure that your feedback is heard about? First of all, approach the feedback, ask for it, demand it, right? And make sure that people don't feel afraid of calling those feedback. They're open about it. So whenever there's a feedback, there is a facade with it, there's a noise with it. Remove that facade. Somebody has sugar-coated it, remove that. And then isolate and trace the exact issue, what they're trying to say. When you trace the issue, you need to know your audience to call it out as well, because you want to get a solution to the issue. You don't want to make an issue of an issue. And once everybody comes together and understand, yes, this is the issue, then brainstorm with them and roll with the solution. And that's how you implement your feedbacks. Now, these are the key ways how TPMs can help a team. Now, what exactly an SRE can take away from that? Keep calm and trust your TPM. So basically, if they're demanding you certain things, try to provide as many data points as possible. Try to be a partner with them in making sure that you all achieve the success you want to. What gets measured gets fixed. So data points are very crucial. The data points are not actually to point fingers. The data points are required to see that what exactly is the nerve which we need to touch on, where exactly the issue lies. The data points, missing data points can never ever help anybody. So if you're not providing those data points, if you're not being a supporting anchor towards that, if you're not a part of a solution, anybody who's not a part of a solution is a part of a problem. So try to be as collaborative with them and try to use your TPMs as much as possible to make sure they can enable you to get the right things out at the right time. What are the key giveaways we have? Align with your catalyzer, understand what they're demanding and why they're demanding, and let them help you. There are a lot of tech debt which works in the world of SRE, because many of the times to keep the site up, you just push like the first thing which can work. So they can help you to reduce your tech debt by measuring it, by analyzing what can be done and prioritize, can we move forward, or what is not required. Help you measure your data and isolate the issues out of that data. So provide them those data points so that they can actually analyze and isolate those issues. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Never ever say that plan never works. It's not about plan not working. It's about mitigating the risk. It's about reducing the damage. And generalist always will need a specialist to work on, but at the same time, a specialist always need a generalist to work on. So on that note, I want to call out that how this is the TPM works in the world of SRE and how they are very key and crucial to contribute towards the world of SRE. I'm happy to take any questions, or you can reach me later on at my email as well.